Welcome to Behind the Seal. You're listening to part 2 of a 2-part episode. If you missed part 1, we invite you to check it out on your podcast platform or on YouTube.
Let's talk a little bit about mail-in voting.
Yes,
so I know
absolutely.
President Trump has talked about, hey, we're going to end mail-in voting. And so my understanding is in, I believe it's 8 states plus the state or Washington, D.C., they mail out ballots to every registered voter.
Yep.
We don't do that in Missouri. Tell us a little bit about, hey, if I'm deployed overseas or hey, I'm a college student and I'm going to somewhere in Florida for college, I'm going to be gone. What's that process, and what's that like as far as requesting a mail-in ballot for the state of Missouri?
Yes. So, and you're exactly right. And there's a lot of states like Oregon, California, automatic mail.
Right.
And so, which opens up Pandora's box.
It does.
But here in the state of Missouri, you actually can, go to our website
Right.
and fill out an application, or go to your local election authority's website, and you have to fill out an application. Now, there's only 2 different occasions. So 6 Tuesdays prior to any election, you can go ahead and have that ballot mailed to you after you fill out your application. So once we receive that application in hand, then obviously it will go into a pile, and
Right.
then we'll start putting those together. That being said, we send out the ballot after we receive that application.
Okay.
Once that the ballot is sent and they have their affidavit, they
Yes.
have to have it notarized.
That's right. They have to have notarized. Let's make sure.
No.
That's a big thing here in the state of Missouri. So for the most part, every person, every Missourian or every Missouri voter that requests a mail-in ballot has to have that ballot
affidavit. Yes,
notarized.
Sir. That's right. That's the kicker. It's so huge. And, that's where I just wish that in 2024, it's the greatest thing because there was so much scrutiny, because of the news. So I always had everything laid out.
Right.
Transparency.
Right.
And I would explain this process, what we're going through in real time. They can see everybody's application laid out. And it would put them at rest at ease. Like, oh, wow. Okay, now I see.
Right.
They actually filled an application. Oh, okay. This is where you're storing your actual affidavits. Oh, I see that they're notarized.
Yes.
Oh, I see you lock them every night.
That's
I
right.
see you seal them every night.
Right.
It's like, one thing after another. And so, it's like you're fighting this fight, but you're fighting the good fight.
Right.
And because Missouri has really great laws when it comes to that.
It
Now,
does.
that being said, we do have a disabled list,
Right.
and they do not have to have their actual affidavit notarized.
Right.
Now, that being said, that is under the Missouri Revised Statute. And Pettis County, what we did, we always called I probably know all my permanent people.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
and again, I think Pettis County roughly has about 800, 900
Okay.
disabled. And a lot of them they are just veterans, people
Right.
that are just elderly. They're on oxygen tanks. They're on,
Right.
They just can't get around.
Right.
And, they really want that red carpet treatment. They really, want their voice to be heard.
Exactly.
And so we always had like a phone banking call, and called them up and check on them. Hey, just wanted to let you know we have X, Y, and Z election coming up. And they really appreciated that.
Right.
Something about a phone call. And, and I will have to say that some of the bigger counties, they even actually have an email list. They'll shoot an
Okay.
email and let them know as well. So that just shows you that there's good rapport.
Right.
Now, if we do see that there is 10 or more applications that are going to one location,
Yes.
we send a bipartisan team.
That's a red flag.
Red flag.
Yeah.
So, and that's, we've never had that, but there have been
Right.
counties that have.
Right.
And St. Louis is one of them. That was many, many years ago. But, I will tell you this. I can firmly say that St. Louis City and St. Louis County and Kansas, they have really, it's unbelievable the teams that they have.
Right.
And, just from January 13th under this administration, and I don't know what it is, whatever it is, it's working.
Right.
So, I'm not, there's no taking credit here. I think everybody is coming together as a team, and that's what it's all about. And again, I'm talking as a local election authority right now. It's always been, the dialect of just calling the SOS's office has just been kind of tough. And,
Right.
and maybe it could be the fact that they didn't have enough employees,
Right.
whatever it was. It's irrelevant. What's relevant is that it's working now, and we're about to move into the midterm election. And I can officially say this under your administration, that we're going to have the cleanest list in Missouri history.
That's right.
And it's already here.
That's right.
And that's huge. I mean, the numbers don't lie. And it's unbelievable. I mean, from the charts, we got it from 2008 all the way till today. And, just for the death records, and then the duplicates. And then, obviously we're moving into the save part of it, and we're about to obviously send out letters here soon. So that being said, it's very neat to be a part of that. And I know that the local election authorities are very excited about that too, because they were like me, they just didn't have, they only had the tools, what they had. And so, under your administration, this is something that you have jumped on. I mean, this is huge. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago, we had over 200,000 ineligible registered voters.
Right.
And when people say, well, you're just purging. No, we're not purging, guys. This is, it's not.
We're making it a priority.
That's right. And you're doing your due diligence, and the local election authorities are too.
That's right.
So, and that's what it's all about. So the off year has been this year, and the cleanup has been huge. And there's still work to be done, like you said. This ain't just you get it done and then it's an ongoing process.
It is most certainly an ongoing thing. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about the initiative, petition, and kind of ballot access. Yeah. So right now they're in special session.
Yes.
At the Capitol, talking about initiative petition reform.
Yes.
And I don't know, have you been following that bill?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So some of the great things that I've always said that, hey, it's too easy to put something in the Missouri Constitution. It needs to be a little bit harder to put something in the Missouri Constitution. We have bingo. And I'm talking about having a bingo card in the Missouri Constitution.
Yes.
And so what we've seen an influx of out-of-state special interest groups that come in to Missouri, spend several millions of dollars because they can't get whatever their idea is passed through the legislature. Most of the time, in my opinion, it's not real good ideas. But and so Missouri has one of the most lax, easiest ways to get something in the Missouri Constitution with just 50% plus one person.
Absolutely right. It's actually the worst, one of the worst.
Yes,
it really is. I mean, to change the Missouri Constitution.
That's right. I mean, in my opinion, the Missouri Constitution, sacred's not the right word, but it almost is sacred. There should be very few things in the Missouri Constitution.
Yes.
And everything else should be in state statute or state law.
Right.
And so we've had a lot of different things, come through where we've had out-of-state special interest groups. And in fact, we just passed a law this past session, went into effect on August 28th, where we can't have foreign influence on ballot initiatives and things that are on the ballot. And so that's in state law. But what they're going to do, and this is the IP reform. It hasn't been finalized yet. I think they're finalizing today in the House, then it'll go over to the Senate, and we'll see what the Senate does with it. Would make it a little bit harder to put something in the Missouri Constitution.
That's right. And yeah, you're exactly right. And so for people that doesn't know, great topic to talk about because, statutorily and Constitution, and I've seen it throughout. I remember just in 2024, we had, 8 different initiatives on the ballot. And I think that people have caught on to how to do this and how to change the Missouri Constitution because it's kind of hard to undo it. So from what I'm gathering is that, you can see that you can get this accomplished. And, why do we elect our lawmakers?
Right. If we're just going to put everything on the ballot and have the people of Missouri vote on everything, then yes, why do we need a legislature? The people that elect our state reps and our state senators entrust our state Senate, our state reps, as well as our statewide elected officials, our governor, all the way down, to represent them.
That's right.
And so, in my opinion, like I said, it's been way too easy to put something in the Missouri Constitution with this initiative petition reform bill that would go to a vote of the people.
That's right.
So the people of the state of Missouri are going to have a chance to vote on this in 2026. The governor will decide if it's going to be in August of 2026 or November of 2026.
Yes.
Now, one of the things they would say is not just 50% plus one person in order to put something in the Missouri Constitution. But in all eight of the congressional
That's right.
districts, it has to have 50% plus
right.
one person as well. So it sets a little bit higher threshold.
That's right.
And so you can't have these out-of-state special interest groups just come into Kansas City and St. Louis and run up the vote totals there, forget about rural Missouri, and vice versa. You can't have somebody run up the vote tally in rural Missouri and leave out St. Louis and Kansas City. And that's just to be in the Missouri Constitution. Now, they can still put things forward that would be going to state statute and on the ballot box. And that would not require, I don't believe that requires the higher threshold just to put in state statute.
Yeah, so state statute, it's going to be 5% of the last gubernatorial, so everything will stay the same. And then obviously the same process, 8% for Constitution. And just echoing what you said is that not only that it's great and dandy that you can pass something. It kind of reminds me of electoral college in a sense. The way it may end up going, that you can pass something unanimously, by a simple majority. However, you have to get all 8 congressional districts. Right. And so me and my mom were talking about this. She's like, is this good? How's this work? And I was like, well, right now we don't know yet. And, there's been rumor of 8 of 8 or 6 of 8. Right. And as of right now, the initiative petition process, turning it in, the thresholds, Constitution 8%, for the last gubernatorial, 5% for statutorial. But going back to what you said, it is sacred. I mean, it's way too easy to change the Missouri Constitution. Right. And so, however this unravels, let's just say, going back to what you said, whatever side ends up wanting to put whatever it is on the in particular ballot, they're going to have to work their buns off. That's right. And that's the way it should be. So, because this is the Missouri Constitution. And, and so it just become too easy. And then not only that, it's going to lighten up the load for local election authorities. Right, most certainly. And some states, like the state of Kansas, there is no initiative petition process. In order to get on the ballot in the state of Kansas, the legislature actually has to put it on the ballot. And then, I know we talked about the provision, kind of a higher threshold of 50% plus one overall, plus in all 8 congressional districts. But there's 2 other provisions that there are currently in there that I'm really excited about. One is having an open public comment period. Yes. So that's right. When the legislature puts something through to go on the ballot, it has a House hearing, it has Senate hearing, there's lots of debate, you can submit testimony as a citizen of the state of Missouri online or actually go to the hearing and testify. When something's put on the ballot that does not go through the legislature, there is no public comment period. But this change, if voted in, would require a public comment period. And that's something here at the Secretary of State's office that we would be in charge of. That's right. It's 15 days, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it, yes. And I believe it's 15 days. That could be changed, depending on what the final product is. But I'm very excited because it would give the public the opportunity to comment. And we're still looking at how exactly we would institute that, if we would have public hearings or there would be an online website to submit public comments. But at the Secretary of State's office, we would be in charge of putting all that information together. Yeah, and that's perfect, right? Transparency of what's going on, and it gives people a say of what's going on. But this is a lot going on, as we both know that this is a hot topic in regards to redistricting. But it's the irony, and it's happening, and so we will find out here in the next, I would say, week, 2 weeks. I'd say in the next week. I think probably the next week we will probably figure out what exactly. But the second provision on that, and I mentioned that already, that hey, the legislature and the governor signed a state law that says, hey, out of state or out of country special interest groups can't influence our ballot initiative elections, and so that's currently state law. Yes. But if this initiative petition reform bill is passed by Missourians and they vote for it, it would put that in our Constitution. Yes. And I think that it is something very worthy of being in the Missouri Constitution, to say, hey, we don't want China or Russia or any of our, especially our whether a foreign adversary or not, we don't want them influencing a ballot initiative. Yeah, right. And so that would be enshrined in the Missouri Constitution. I think that is a good place for that to be, is in the Missouri Constitution. We don't want foreign influence in our here in Missouri elections. No, absolutely not. Nope. And I'm actually glad that this is the redistricting part, but then they threw in the initiative petition all into one. So, they're killing two birds with one stone.
Yes, yeah,
so
most certainly.
Be exciting to see how that all pans out for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm a huge advocate for that. And I know that, that's been an issue with the clerks. I'm sure that, you know about it more than I probably do because of the fact that, especially signing up for the petitions, you have to get 6 of the 8.
Yes.
There's always been talk, well, it should be 8 of the 8, and on and on and on. So this is a good way of putting it. So
I would agree.
Yeah. So
the other thing, and we'll finish on this topic, is about redistricting. So there are also the legislature, the governor has called a special session for IP reform as well as congressional redistricting.
Yes.
Now, congressional redistricting is drawn by the legislature.
Yes.
And so the legislature gets to draw the congressional districts. Now, there's a bipartisan citizen committee that draws the state rep and the state senate districts. Usually it's an equal number of Republicans and Democrats, non-elected officials. They usually can't ever agree, and then the courts draw it. But we're talking about congressional redistricting. And so Governor Keogh called a special session to mid-decade redistrict.
That's
now,
right.
in my understanding, it is very rare. Maybe it's not been done in the state of Missouri ever before, but it is legal. There's nothing that says that we can't redistrict right in the middle of every 10 years.
Yeah, that's right. During the census, so
that's right.
It's thrown everybody off as we can see, but it's what's happening. So it'll be very interesting to see. We've already kind of seen the first map that's been presented. I believe it already passed out of committee last week.
Yes.
So now it's going to be on the House, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot going on, and going through that, I was just looking at the map right now. It's always nice to see the congressional lines following the county lines, because I'm thinking like a local election authority. There's nothing worse having a line going through the county. So I think it's maybe Boone, Jefferson County, Webster County. There's a few already. Jackson, yes. St. Louis County. So. It will not affect a lot of your rural, county clerks. So that being said, it still has to be done. And however this ends up unraveling, it's going to happen one way or another. So it'll be very. We're just living in some different times. It's exciting. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited. So in 2022, I know you probably find this hard to believe. I fought for a 7-1 map, 7 Republicans and 1 Democrat, and so now to have that opportunity, the legislature with the governor calling for a special session. I'm excited to see what exactly that the legislature passes and see what those follow. But you mentioned it, compact and contiguous. We're trying to keep all the counties together that you can.
Yes.
That can't always be done because each of the 8 congressional districts has to be about relatively the same as far as population.
Yes.
Well, there's no way to keep every county whole and still have equal population representation within those districts, and so that's I'm excited to see what exactly the legislature puts together. Another thing that we've talked about, and as far as the Secretary of State, I don't have anything to draw with drawing the maps.
No.
So my first time seeing the maps was when Governor Keogh released them out to the public, and so we don't draw the maps in the Secretary of State's office, but we do administer the election under those election authority and say, hey, county clerks and local election authorities, hey, these are the maps. This is what you need to be. This is what you need to be doing. But as far as drawing the maps, the Secretary of State's office has nothing to do with that.
And that's where I kind of come into play. A little bit. I'll come in and help if those in particular counties do need help, because it is. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be a quick overturn.
It is.
Because we know that candidate filing starts in February, which is right around the corner.
That's right.
And it's stressful for those counties that may have to split those in particular districts. So you want to make sure that people are in the correct district when you get your ballot. So that being said, it does take time. Redistricting is a little bit stressful, but it's just the congressional ones. It's not going to affect everybody, but still, that's address library and GIS is always fun to get into.
Right. I'm sure you're going to be getting a lot of calls from local election authorities and the county clerks, especially ones that are affected by this redistricting map.
Yeah.
I'm sure your phone's going to be ringing quite a bit as far as, hey, Nick, I need some help. I need some help. How do I do this? Or whether it's a new clerk or, obviously, if it's a new clerk since 2022, they haven't dealt with this before.
No, they haven't. Yeah, and even your people that have been, clerks as long as I have, they're welcoming. It's
right.
And that's a neat thing is that there's no pride. All the especially your larger jurisdictions and even the smaller ones, the people that have been there for a long time, they're very welcoming. They're just like, we want you to come in.
Yes.
We want help, and so. And that's the way it should be. And that was part of this process and the vision that you've done. So this has been, it's huge, but I always tell myself, how do you eat a hippo? As I always tell them, they're looking at me, and I'm like, it's one bite at a time.
That's right.
It's one bite at a time.
Right.
So
small steps.
Small steps. So it's
I've always used the analogy. I said, hey, many times we try and hit a home run and we strike out every time.
Yes.
But if you hit 4 singles in a row, that counts for the same number of runs.
You're right.
And so sometimes it's just you got to take those small steps in order to get to the bigger picture. Yeah. So, I said that was the last one. One more thing. So looking forward to 2026, it'll be my first elections as Secretary of State. It'll be your first elections as Director of Election Integrity. One of the things when I was first elected, they said, hey, we need to debrief you on a couple things. And one of those things was, hey, the Secretary of State's office, these hackers try to cyber attack us every day.
Yeah.
Every day we're trying to be cyber attacked to get in the voter registration rolls, to get in the business services. And I think my comment back then was like, oh, okay, well, who's our IT person? They said, well, our IT director has been here for a number of years.
Yes.
I'm like, great, that's awesome. And they said, well, he's retiring December 31st. And so, but you mentioned before, our IT team does an excellent job. They are on top of things. Cybersecurity is just so important here at the Secretary of State's office to make sure that data is kept confidential, kept secure, and and for those that we get cyber attacked every day. I mean, who hasn't had if I was took a poll and said, hey, has anybody never had a computer virus on their phone, on their laptop, on their computer, even on nowadays with new cars and trucks, it's all computerized. Everybody's had a computer virus, and we have to remember that's not a virus like I say. It's not. I think many times we think of it more like a cold. Well, it's a cold virus. No, like there is somebody physically like you and I that is sitting behind a computer and trying to hack into our systems here at the Secretary of State's office. It's actually a person that's doing that. It's not some cold virus or something like that. So when you say computer virus, it's a human hacker virus almost is what I say. And then we've really worked on poll worker recruitment and training. And I know that's something that as a county clerk you were really passionate about as well.
Yeah, we are really secure here. But going back to your question with poll workers, it is vital that right now we move into the midterm elections, and it's hard to find poll workers as we're maneuvering through elections because we have seen different states and people are getting obviously older, and I don't know if people want to take more interest in things of that nature, but we have been using the IT department has been using a good, nice, robust campaign, and obviously the local election authorities have too, and that is something that's dear to your heart. Your poll workers, they become family. And so they are the ones that are running the elections, and they take pride into that. Those are the people that you're going to run into at the chili supper. Those are the people that are going to run into the ham breakfast or the pancake breakfast. And those are your people that I always used to go to the polling place and eat all their food. But anyways, that being said, it's really nice. And how that usually works, the law actually is that the the list is supposed to come from the central committee. They are supposed to furnish a list to the local election authority.
Right.
And throughout time, as we both know, or some people, for the people that don't know, there's a central committee, not in every county, but there is an active central committee for Republicans and Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
But the caveat is that sometimes those central committee cannot recruit all the poll workers. So then it's up to the local election authority to try to find these people. So, we're always, utilizing in, college students, whatever we can. And so it's good to have a mixture, right? Because, as we know that we have technology and there's nothing better than, hey, what if the technology goes out? We're going back to paper rosters.
Yes.
And then some of those kids were like, what's this?
Right.
So that was something that we always did. We always had a backup paper roster.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's something I want to emphasize, that here in the state of Missouri, we are a paper ballot count at our state.
Yes.
I say county because I'm so used to talking like a clerk. But we are a paper ballot state, and that is something to be very, very proud of, and that people can rest assured. And I always say that, how are you going to hack a piece of paper?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've always said I think the most secure elections are in person on election day with a paper ballot and a photo ID.
That's right.
And unfortunately, other states don't have many of the protections that we do here in the state of Missouri. And I've been amazed just visiting with my fellow Secretary of States, whether it's been Republican or Democrat, just how different election law is when we look from state to state.
Yes.
And, I mentioned the 8 states plus Washington, D.C., they mail every registered voter a ballot before the election. Some of those states have ballot drop boxes. We ban ballot drop boxes. We don't mail every registered voter a ballot before the election.
That's right.
We have a lot of safeguards as far as mail-in ballots. We make them get it notarized, and then either they mail it back or their immediate family member are the only ones that can turn that back into the local election authority. So we've got a lot of things that make sure that our elections are safe and secure and fair.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things. We talked about, everything we talked about is to make sure that people realize that, hey, our elections are fair, they're safe, and they're secure.
They are. They really are. And, there's good guardrails, and then, nursing homes as well. We always have a bipartisan team that, goes to those nursing homes. So just in Pettis County, we have 11. So then you have that bipartisan team. And again, those people really do appreciate those things. So it's a lot. And you're exactly right. You bring up really good, valid points, because it is surprising. You see different states, you're just like, wow, this is crazy how they're doing it here. And then, you come to our state. So we're very fortunate here in the state of Missouri, the way that we really have these good safeguards for sure.
Most certainly.
Absolutely.
Well, Nick, I want to thank you for your leadership and election integrity. I know you're a hard charger, and there's no grass growing underneath your feet. And most certainly I appreciate all your leadership and your service on this issue. And, hopefully people realize that once they hear more of our message and things like that their voice is being heard, their ballots are secure, and our elections are fair here in the state of Missouri.
That's right.
And so I want to thank you again for joining us here on the show, and also inform listeners that they can find out more about our elections, more about the Secretary of State's office and all the different divisions and agencies that we have at sos.mo.gov. I'm Secretary of State Denny Hoskins, and thank you for joining us at Behind the Seal.